Hello guys, so I am back. I want to talk about staked Ethereum. I want to see how it can be weighing down the price of normal Ethereum and potentially cause some type of run within the DeFi space. Now, obviously that's not good. We want to try and avoid that, I guess, as heavy as possible. So follow us down on Twitter below just to make sure that you kind of keep up to date with everything that's going on. But without further ado, I am going to jump straight into having a look at exactly what this might mean for us in the crypto market and really how it might affect our investments. So we're going to be talking about Curve, we're going to be talking about Lido, we're going to be talking about leverage traders, and most importantly, the difference that we see in the price of staked ETH, which is 1,511, versus the price of normal ETH, which is 1,573. These are supposed to be one-to-one. Now, this might scare you, but it's okay. I am here to walk you through exactly why it shouldn't be so bad. Now, what I will say, Small Cap Scientist did a great recap on this, so make sure you follow him. It just, really, really good in terms of the digging that they've done. And I'm going to walk you through exactly what this means with a bit of extra context. So staked ETH is a version of Ethereum from Lido Finance. It's meant to secure Ethereum post-merge. So we all know the merge is coming up, Ethereum 2.0, probably in about August. That's what we're seeing from the guys at Ethereum. So staked ETH is fully backed one-to-one by Ethereum. It's just very illiquid until the merge, and this in a few months. Now, it's never been an issue where if you go over to CurveFi, this is the liquidity pool. Now, I will show you this in a second, but the idea is in a liquidity pool, you give them one Ethereum, they give you one of the other thing, which in this case is staked ETH. But you give one and you get 1.037. So you actually get more back. You get more, and you can see the value here. So for giving this, you get this. So you could do this on quite a large scale and actually make a little bit of money. But you can see how it works the other way. If you actually, in fact, have already done this and you've got loads of staked ETH, and then you say, you know what, actually, let me put my staked ETH back, I take it, then you're going to end up getting less than what you initially put in if you were to do that currently, which is an issue, but we're going to unpack that later. So CurveFi has become very heavily imbalanced, with nearly 75% of its pool now made up of staked ETH. 75.81, as you see here. That's the current number that we have. This is obviously going to be a couple days old. I think yesterday. Yeah, yesterday. So the pace of the depegging is very much determined by two factors. It's what assets are in the liquidity pool and A factor. Now, A factor, I'm not going to get into that in today's video, but you can go through this and again, follow this thread, follow through here. But this is not really kind of the video for it. I want to keep it quite quick. Now, I will say, and this is exactly what Small Cap Scientist has said, is that it is backed one-for-one. It's not UST. It's not it's not under capitalized. It's you give one ETH, you get one ETH back. So it does seem like a good idea, especially given that you can put in one ETH at 1,583 and get back 1,642. So it does seem good if you believe that obviously Ethereum is going to keep growing. But anyway, what he was saying was that the canary in the coal mine for him was Alameda Research. Now, these are owned by FTX and Sam Bankman-Fried. Now, they have exited their position, unloading nearly 50K over a matter of hours and suffering massive slippage. So as you see here, let's have a look at this. So they swapped 19,000. I'm sorry, guys. I don't know what the heck is happening to me today. I think I might be like, mid-medical emergency. 19,747, but they only got back. So they've essentially lost nearly 500 ETH just to try and get out of this, this liquidity pool, which is really not good. It's kind of showing a bit of a worrying sign. That's nearly $750,000, guys. So that's something to take into consideration. FTX have done that. In fact, they were one of 7 investors. They're currently massive holders of Lido, staked ETH, and could make a large bank run happen. Now, first, one of the other massive investors is a company called Celsius Network. So Celsius Network, let's have a quick look at these guys. They look pretty like kind of stand-up guys. That's not those. This is those. This is Celsius, pretty good, seem to be decent guys. I will say they have a bit of bad history in some ways. Some people have called them a bit of a scam, bit of a Ponzi. There's definitely a lot of mixing with the wrong people. Celsius Scrubs CFO from site after arrest in Hogeg's crypto Ponzi case. Coming down here, the Celsius CFO knew the crypto mogul Hogeg well. This is the guy. He's actually got quite a bad rap sheet about him. He is been ordered to settle $4 million for a dodgy ICO, and then also benefiting from that money, not putting it into the company. Also, he is the CEO of Sirin Labs, and those were tied up with Floyd Mayweather, getting himself into a scam. So this was one of the, I believe it was an NFT project. Again, we see he's been sued by investing.com, and also he's had some bad claims against him, but they are only claims from a model. So kind of these guys haven't really helped their reputation by being associated with people like I've just shown you, but they are only claims. I don't know if they're true. Although on the surface, they look kind of good, but there has been some bad blood around them. Now, they have also made a series of really, really bad investments, and we'll get into that in a second in terms of being massively exposed in different areas such as hacks and things like this. So in fact, so here we are, Celsius Network. You see these top 7 here. A16Z, very solid company. Not going to say anything bad about them. Coinbase, obviously. Paradigm, yes. DCG, haven't heard too much. Jumping 3 hours, I've heard actually, some mixed reviews, I should say, about them, but overall okay, So that's not to say Celsius are bad at all. Now, they have a massive position, Celsius, of nearly 450,000 Ethereum, where if you have a look down here, so they say something very similar in this coin telegraph that we see here. So they have around 445,000. That's like kind of collaborated by here. So worth 1.5 billion using Aave. So Aave, they have deposited staked Ethereum for collateral and have accumulated about $1.2 billion in debt. So basically, they've taken all of this. They've then said, hey, look, Aave, give us a massive loan of 1.2 billion, and you can essentially use this 1.5 billion dollars worth of staked ETH as our collateral. Now, shouldn't normally be an issue, and obviously these guys, Celsius, need to do this in order to pay the people who are investing with them. Now, the issue is that Celsius Network is quickly running out of this money to pay back the investors who are redeeming positions. So billions in illiquid positions. This is an illiquid position. Plus also staked Ethereum. You can't sell it. You can't sell staked Ethereum until the merge has done. And so this is why everyone's getting worried about these big investors such as Celsius, because they're like, well, hang on a second. If you can't sell your staked Ethereum and you can't pay me, well, I better make sure that I get out. So on the 5th of June, Yield Chad has said 50,000 Ethereum per week. Celsius will run out of liquid ETH in around 5 weeks, which obviously, if you're reading this and you have investments with Celsius, you want to take your Ethereum out ASAP. And that is called a run on, in this case, it's called a run on the bank because it usually happens with banks, but I don't know what you'd call this. We'll just call it a run. So this is a massive question as to how this multi-billion-dollar fund is struggling so badly to kind of pay for how it's run out of liquidity. And this is where we get into the amount of hacks that they've been involved in. 70 million in Stakehound exploit, 50 million in Badger DAO front-end exploit. And on top of these, 500 million of client deposits were in the Luna UST Ponzi that recently collapsed. I will say these were one of the guys, Celsius, who actually got out quick and potentially were one of the guys who perpetuated this massive death spiral that we saw. But also, just to kind of go through here, so I mentioned Aave previously. Now, Aave allows leveraged staking rewards. So basically, you can kind of borrow against this. And then once you borrowed, so you stake, and then you borrow against that, and then you stake again, then you borrow against that, then you stake again. This is how people get into a massive loop. And once we get to this 0.85, if we get there, for the price of staked ETH, i.e., this price against this price, if we get to 0.85, then we will see a load of liquidations, and then everyone's just going to start getting cut out of positions. And that's going to be pretty much the equivalent of the death spiral that we saw in Luna UST. So keep that in mind. So Celsius kind of have two options. Either they can sell their staked Ethereum for normal Ethereum, and then stable coins in order to become more liquid, because obviously they need to pay their guys in cash, pay the investors in cash, or they use their staked Ethereum as collateral and take out loans to repay customers. So again, they take even more staked Ethereum, they put it to people like who was it further up here? Using Aave, or they just go to a bank and say, look, take my staked Ethereum. I need a loan. I need to pay my investors. But that's all in the hope that when the bank says, hey, I need money because you have a loan from us, they say, oh yeah, but I'm just waiting on Ethereum 2.0. So Ethereum 2.0 cannot be delayed. And if it is, we're going to see a massive run on this. And this is just going to massively spread across all of DeFi. Not very good for the overall crypto market in general. But anyway, diving into option one, see here. Selling ETH in order to become more liquid. Their position is around 450,000 Ether, as we saw earlier. But looking into Curve, so looking into here, they have 450,000, here we go, what is it, staked ETH. But now, currently, there's only around 242. So even if, it's even less now, it's 160,000. So even if these 450 staked ETH, if they wanted to put all of that back into the liquidity pool, they cannot get 450,000 ETH out because it's just simply not in there. The maximum that they could get is 160,000 Ethereum. So they've got 450,000 staked ETH, but only 160,000 ETH available. Now, this is one of 7. This is where the issues become, because if we see, let's say, Celsius do this, what about, A16Z? They're going to be like, wait, hang on, you're going to clean out the liquidity pool. We're not going to be able to get any money out. Then Coinbase will do the same. And then this is where the real systemic problem lies, is everybody, not just us institutional investors or not retail, but it's these institutional guys who will be like, well, you're going to clean out this massive liquidity pool. I'm not going to allow that. I want my slice of pie before you get yours. So take that into consideration. But there's also about $5 million of staked ETH liquidity on Uniswap, and have been unable to track the size of the CEX liquidity, CEX. So look, that's pretty much the overall kind of, should we say, hook, the overall feedback. It could lead to a massive negative cycle. And then again, it's just really not great for the whole DeFi market. Celsius can get liquidated. Borrowing is getting more expensive. The collateral is losing value. So again, if they say, hey, look, I've got 450,000 staked ETH, it's like, yeah, that's great, but you can't actually take that much out of the liquidity pool. So I know it may be not quite worth that much right now. Yes, it's always one-to-one, but you got to think what's actually in the liquidity pool to be able to facilitate a transaction. And currently, it's not enough. It's really not enough. So there you go. There's a massive issue that I think we're seeing. This could weigh down massively on Ethereum, and I think that obviously at the moment with these prices being at a disparity, this is bringing a lot of FUD, and because everyone's worried about this, and because it's on the front of everybody's lips, we're seeing not just this was a CPI drop that we saw yesterday, a bit of recovery, but obviously we're seeing a lot more news around about this now, where we're seeing, and I'm on the, sorry, my bad. Let me go on to the 4-hourly. So here we go from yesterday. Here was the CPI drop. Here we go. This was the CPI. I know it was 2 candles, but this is a lot of the continuation of the FUD. And a lot of this talk here about the curve and how this might actually, end up being a systemic problem. And that's just in curve. I will say, curve is one liquidity pool. It's not the only one, but it is something to take a look at. And taking a look at transactions today, still even more exits coming out. So this is very bad news. Very, very bad news. Everyone's kind of offloading. See, it's just not looking great. I will say, guys, these all speak for themselves. Let me know down in the comments. What do you think? How are you feeling about Celsius, the liquidity pool? How are you feeling about Lido? You know, I mean, it seems pretty good, to be fair. You know, stake, you get 4% APR. That's fantastic. But is it? Is it really? You let me know down in the comments, guys. I personally, because it's a one-to-one, you know, you give an ETH, you get a staked ETH, it will rebalance. And I think because currently, looking at the price in the disparity in price, you know, it does make a good opportunity for an arbitrage trader to kind of, you know, let's say spend one ETH, get one staked ETH, go to a different liquidity pool, and then give the staked ETH and in turn get an actual ETH. So you can do that. That's an arbitrage trade. I personally wouldn't do that just because I haven't really done it too much. But that's the overall basis that I want to give you about what we're seeing here in the market. So until tomorrow, thank you very much, guys. Let me know down in the comments whether you agree, whether you think this is going to actually cause a bit of a DeFi contagion, and if so, how. Anyway, thank you very much, guys. I will see you in the next one.